Take it away, fellas.
Thank you, voice girl, and welcome once again to another edition of the Man Space Podcast. This is the voice of Russ, and with me, as always, is my co-host who's trying to quit his 9 to 5 so he can start on his OnlyFans career, the one and only Big Les.
What's up, dog?
What's going on, man?
Boy, my OnlyFans is called the Only Broke. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody coming over there.
Hey, man, I told you, put that big toe out there.
Oh, man.
That's all you got to do is link the big toe out there.
That's why I said it. Only broke, bro. The thing look like an old baked potato. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. What's up with you, dog? You all right?
This past weekend, man, my son, he moved down here, and so I was helping him move. There's nothing that will humble you more than trying to help somebody move, right?
Yeah.
Man,
I'm just laughing because I know.
I was good taking stuff off the truck, putting it in the garage. You're like, boom, boom, boom. Oh, hand me that. Boom, got it. Boom.
Bang.
No
Yeah.
Had to carry some stuff upstairs. A big mattress too, king size mattress. We got that joint upstairs.
They already just jacked up the way you got to do it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So we get upstairs. Now these jokers want to talk.
I ain't got time to talk.
I'm trying my best to catch my breath. There is nothing more humbling than this, bro.
Let me sit on this step real quick. Hey, man, I used to, I would jump in and help anybody. Used to. Now, I'll drive for you. Yeah, that's about that. I'm gonna get a few boxes. You got a dolly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if I go in there, everything's spread out all over the place. I ain't got time for this.
Yeah,
I'm going home. I'm taking my truck and I'm leaving.
Dude, I told Miss Russ that if we ever move again, we definitely. I don't care if the movers got to keep the stuff for 3 days before they deliver.
Amen.
They doing it. They doing it because
everything.
We when we moved here, she didn't want the movers because it was going to take them a certain amount of time to load up everything, right?
Yeah.
And they can only work so many hours in a day. So they weren't going to deliver the same day. She's like, it's only an hour and a half ride. She was mad. She's like, no. It took me 3 days and three different U-Hauls to move everything.
Right.
Not to include my truck was full. I still had my Expedition at the time. My Expedition was full. My truck made 3 trips up there as well, which was full each time.
Right.
Her car was full. My other car was full. Yeah. This was so. I'm like, no, I will never, ever in my life move again. If I do, I'm hiring movers. I don't care.
I'm never doing it again either. I swear. I swear.
I got to sit here and eat ramen noodles for 2 months just to pay for this
stuff. To pay, I'm doing it. Yes,
I'm doing it.
I'm gonna tell you, because we sold our old house and we moved to an apartment, so we had to put stuff in storage, and in the apartment. Well, guess what floor? 3rd floor, because they didn't have a first or second, and they didn't want to lease it to us for 6 months, 7 months, right? So we had to go to the 3rd floor. So we did. Moved everything up to the 3rd floor. Okay. Now we got a big old storage unit, right? So we put 90% of the stuff in the storage.
Yeah.
Right. When the house was finished, we had to get all that stuff from storage. 2 storage lockers, matter of fact, and move from the apartment on the 3rd floor. I paid some cats to move all the heavy stuff from the 3rd floor because I helped move it up there. I ain't never doing that no more. Wow. Never ever in my life moving up to a 3rd floor apartment. If God willing, you know what I'm saying? But never, ever again. I will hire movers. And I ain't playing with it this time. Nope,
Mm.
that ain't happening.
We used college dudes to
College
help load up
dudes.
the
Yeah.
furniture. They
Mhm.
stole all Miss Russ jewelry.
Yep, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stole her jewelry.
and never got anything back from that, right?
Mm,
Because
mm,
couldn't prove that they stole it.
mm. Right, right.
Bastards.
Yep, yep,
Mm, 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 mm.
yep.
Somebody went straight to the pawn shop with that, man.
I know, right? I know.
Yep.
But it's- I know that you're a busy dude, and I am as well. And
Hmm.
sometimes, you got to get up and go and do stuff on the drive to work. Well, I went and checked out our friends at Manscaped.
Oh, yeah. On the way to work.
Yeah. And I went and got the Hedge Pro.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh,
This thing is a lifesaver
uh-huh.
to trim you up and on the road, man. It's got a nice long battery life. It's
Yeah.
small and compact, and just pop it on, do a nice little shave up, and on your ride to work, and that's one step down.
He's so fresh and so clean after that.
So fresh and so clean, man. Space Nation, you guys can get the Hedge Pro as well too by
Yeah.
going to manscaped.com and use our code TMSP20 and
Yeah.
save 20%
That's
along
TMSP
with
20.
yep,
Yep.
20% off and free shipping.
Oh.
This thing is great. They got
Oh.
more than just stuff for your balls, guys. They got stuff for your face too. Check it out.
It
Hey,
ain't just about your balls.
and this is the perfect
Yeah.
Father's Day gift.
Man, wouldn't it be? So my old
It
man, he just he lit it. He ain't got no beard, no nothing. I'm like, dude, have you ever groomed facial hair?
Hey,
No.
it takes care of the stubble and
I'm not I'm
leaves you smooth.
I'm
It
ordering
leaves you
one.
that's
Father's
it.
Day. Bang bang. Gotta get it.
Gotta get it.
Mm.
Hey, listen up. Manspace Nation. I did an interview with Coach Martize that I'm gonna play after the break. This is a great interview. You guys check him out. He does a virtual boot camp every Saturday at 9:30 Eastern time. So check out that interview coming up right after the break. We'll be back with some more of the Manspace podcast. Manspace Nation. You know what? They say that the best relationship you have is the relationship you have with yourself. However, it's something that we all neglect, especially now in the days of the post COVID era. A lot of us have gotten complacent being at home and gotten sedentary in our lives and just not taking care of ourselves the way we need to be. One thing that I've learned about fitness and physical strength is that it's mental as well. And that's where our next guest is going to come into play. He has over 15 years of experience as a certified personal trainer. He's a military veteran and a husband and a father. Manspace Nation, please welcome my guest today, Coach Martize.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank
welcome,
you.
welcome. Welcome to
Thank
the
you.
show.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
So
Thank you,
right
Russ.
off the bat, I just want to ask you your military service. So
Yeah.
what branch of service were you in?
U.S. Navy, way back in the
Okay,
90s.
okay, you're a Navy guy. All right, so
Yeah.
we won't beat you up too bad. So Les and I are Army guys. We're both Army guys, so we'll
Okay.
just
All
say
right. All right.
Go Army, beat Navy. How's that?
I heard that before. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So let's talk about your journey into the fitness realm. So how did you make that transition from coming out of the military into wanting to do personal training?
It's funny you say that. It was a gap of years where
Mm,
when I got out of the military, just kind of working some jobs, and
right.
I wasn't able to kind of find my groove. In your early 20s, you still trying to find yourself.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so it wasn't until I got into my early 30s that I discovered the love of fitness
Hmm.
and helping people and seeing
Hmm.
their transformation. And it just, you know, you just kind of feel like this is what I supposed to be doing. And obviously, I took a lot of those discipline from the military
Right.
into personal training. So it kind of like just kind of rolled into one, and it just worked out, man. And I've been
Yeah.
rocking and rolling ever since.
That's awesome. I know when I left the military, I was like, man, I don't want anything to do with this lifestyle, man, anymore. I'm not running anywhere. I'm done.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But it's still in us deep down.
Yeah, yeah. That is true. That's true.
Yeah,
Certain there are certain aspects of it that stay within you forever.
yeah,
And those are foundational principles that really help you build into what you're doing today. Now, you actually have another side of where you're onto the mental aspect of it. I've been watching some of your videos where you've been coaching on relationships and things of that nature. Tell me about that side. How did you get into the more relationship coaching and that nature? How did you get into there?
Oh, a couple of things. The first thing was that I've noticed a correlation when people aren't staying consistent with their workouts, that
Right.
it had a lot to do with external factors,
Yes.
meaning things that's going on in their life. And essentially, what it boils down to, people weren't making themselves the priority. Everyone
Mm,
else came first. Kids, family, friends, work, everything always came first. And I noticed something, that until you cultivate that relationship with yourself
mhm.
and understand that you are the priority and that you deserve 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, a day just to focus on your well being. Because if you're not full, then you can't expect to give from an empty
Right.
cup. And so
Mm,
that prompt me to get into the life coaching industry, where I wanted to merge them both. And it's amazing how the emotional muscles and the physical muscles kind of work hand in hand.
right.
And so that's what been my focus now over the last several years.
I like the way you said that you can't give from an empty cup. I like that saying.
Mhm.
One of the things that I've kind of dealt with in my own journeys post military is, a lot of times it's tied to emotion.
Yeah.
I I'll have moments where, I'm in the gym twice a day, every day, 7 days a week. And
Hmm.
I'll have stretches where I'm not touching the gym for 3 to 6 months
Right.
and it's not doing anything, but life gets into the way. And it seems like everything is like on that emotional roller coaster. How do you work with clients to try to uh, even that roller coaster out to where they actually start trying to make themselves a priority?
Just constantly reminding them that if you're not full, if you're not able to focus on yourself, then
Mhm.
it's almost oxymoron that you cannot be able to help someone else. It's kind of like that analogy about the plane, when before they take off, they give you that emergency, in
Right,
case of emergency,
right.
the
Mhm.
face mask. Make sure it's on you first before you help others, and
Right.
just reminding people all the time that you must make yourself priority. But
Mhm.
I know that's easier said than done, right? Because
Right.
we are born into a belief system that it's better to give than
Mm,
receive.
right.
However, I believe in that sentiment. However, I think we got a little misconstrued. It's better to give yourself the love, give yourself the attention, than to look to receive it from others. Because oftentimes we find
Absolutely.
ourselves disconnected because we're looking for external validation. We're looking for
Mhm,
external attention, external love. But I got to
mhm,
remind people that you came fully equipped with all that stuff when you got here. It was just
right,
the environment and that belief system led us to believe that it's not in us and that we should look outside for it. So
right.
my journey, my quest is to remind people that that's not the case. Challenge that belief because
Mhm,
what's inside of you is enough.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, One of the things that you kind of touched on is that foundational belief, and I strongly believe in the fact of you have to be able to show yourself love, because you really can't even love anybody else until you start loving yourself and giving to yourself. So you got to be able to fill, you got to be the one to fill your cup, right? You
That's
can't
right.
wait for everybody else to do it. So
That's right.
I like
That's
that.
right.
I like that.
Yeah,
N-
absolutely.
Now, within the into the back to the fitness side of it,
Mhm.
you are doing virtual and in-house training, or do you have a brick and mortar studio that you train from as well?
Yeah. I've been having my own studio here in
Mhm,
Chicago for the last 13 years. I took a leap of faith. I worked in some of the
mhm.
big box gyms here in Chicago, and I just said, you know what? Uh, I'm not making enough money here.
Right.
And let me go. I've always had the entrepreneur spirit, and I just took
Mhm.
a leap of faith and said, you know what? I'm just gonna do it, and it has been one of the best decisions I made in my life because of the experience and the people I've encountered. Again,
Mhm.
the transformation that I've witnessed that people have gone through, not only just a physical transformation, but that mental and emotional transformation where they're more confident and they're just lighting up. They just feel
Yeah.
good. And that in itself was just, a feel good moment for me seeing
Mhm.
people I've helped and work with and build relationships with. I still train people that I've trained when I first started. We're talking about 10, 12, 11 years still rocking with me,
Yeah.
man. And it's a
That is
beautiful thing.
awesome.
I've been to people's weddings and I've been to
Yeah.
people's houses. I've seen them, have babies, man. It's been a
Mhm.
wonderful ride.
What do you
Been a
think
wonderful ride.
is one of the biggest myths that hold people back when it comes to physical fitness?
Mental,
Yeah.
mental. It sounds catchy or it sounds kind of a little corny that everything is mental when people
Right.
are struggling in the gym, but it really boils down to that. If you can get over that mental hump, and that's when I encourage people, get out of your head. You're in your head
Yeah.
right now. Exercise supposed to hurt. Don't run away
Right.
from the pain. Don't run away from
Right.
the pain. And then I tie that into your emotional muscles. Get out of your head. Right
Yeah.
now, we allow these things to cloud our judgment, cloud our logical thinking because we're
Mhm.
so much in our head that we're not able to get past some of the obstacles in life, whether it's working out or whether it's in a relationship.
Right.
Most oftentimes we are in our own way, I should say.
Right. Now, within the virtual space, now how does that overall work? Because I've seen the apps that pop up on in social media, and I made sure my phone is across the room so it doesn't listen to me and add those apps back into my feed. But
Yeah.
uh, the apps are out there, but how does the virtual coaching work for you?
Here's the deal. There are plenty of apps, there are plenty of videos out there to kind of help you
Mhm.
work out. But listen, there's nothing um there's nothing like face-to-face, person-to-person, right? Even
Right.
in the virtual space, I'm doing live workouts with you. And I do it totally free every Saturday morning where I'm live with you. We're working
Mm-hmm.
out. And after the workout, we jump into some topics that may be something dealing with relationship topics,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's dating, family, parenting, marriage, and then we kind of dive into that. So we do a full hour, and we start off with the workout. I get the body movement, and then after that, I jump into some of those emotional muscles that oftentimes is the blockage between the healthy relationship between friends, family, your partner, but more importantly, it's the blockage between you and yourself. And so
Right.
after the workout, we jump right into some of those topics
Wow.
live.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, um, so when you're doing that boot camp, it's more of a group boot camp as well. So are you doing some virtual that's one-on-one as well too, or just is it all groups?
Well, it's both. I do group just to give people an introductory because
Hmm.
again, it's so much out there, and I give people a kind of like a sneak peek, a preview of what I'm all about. And it's kind of like when you're in the mall, they give you a little taste test, the
Right.
little
Yeah. Yeah.
toothpick.
Yes.
You
Yes.
kind of taste and
Right.
see, like, oh, okay, I kind of like
Mhm.
this guy. I kind of
Yeah.
like being able to work out and then being able to not only challenge my body, but challenge some of these limited beliefs that I may have. And then if you're looking for a little bit more,
Hmm.
obviously I have a platform where I'm able to work with you a little bit more intimately, a little bit more one on one, and that's always an option for people.
Gotcha. 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 All right. So we're gonna pause for a second because I want to do a quick game. We call it lightning round, and we
All
want
right.
to give the Manspace Nation the opportunity to know a little bit more about how you think. So I'm going to ask you a question. There's going to be 60 seconds. You're going to hear some music in the background.
Oh boy, let
When the music stops, the 60 seconds are up.
me give you some
But
water.
yeah, but we want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Lightning round.
All right.
Nice.
If you had your favorite celebrity client, who would that be?
Denzel Washington.
All right. Now, a night owl or early bird?
Night owl.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Favorite movie?
Malcolm X.
Favorite city to visit other than where you live?
San Diego.
Beaches or mountains?
Beaches.
Favorite sport to watch?
Basketball.
Ah. What's your hidden talent?
The ability to get along with most people.
I'll ask you one
That's a
last question.
talent.
Absolutely. That is a huge talent. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you one last question here.
Sure.
If you were given the ability to go to the future or the past, which one would you do?
Mm. Mm. I would go to the past.
Why and
Um,
why is that?
because I get it. It will prepare me for the future. I would get a chance to ask questions that I didn't
Mm,
get a chance to ask my dad, my mother, my
right.
grandparents. Just being able to be more informed. Once I am more informed, knowledge is power, man. And so I have
Absolutely.
a lot more power going into the future, knowing where I came from, and it kind of helped me navigate where I'm looking to go.
Absolutely. I like that answer. I like how you put that one. I think for me, with that one, I would want to go to the future because I would like to know that the things that I'm doing now are making a difference for my my kids and their kids and the next generations after that. So for me, it's kind of the other way. I like to know
Okay.
that I'm making a difference. But I do like your answer, and I'm like, I could be swayed by that one. Huh? It's like, hey.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm all about fully equipping myself and be ready for battle. In order to do that, I need to know what I'm getting myself into.
So
There
you
you go.
are being a Chicago basketball fan, you're a Bulls fan.
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay, okay. So there is hope for you and my co-host because I'll hold. But who you a fan of?
I am a Los Angeles Lakers fan, my man. I
Oh,
and the
okay,
most
okay.
I am is they are the most winningest championship team in history.
That is
And
true.
here's the deal. Here's the deal. I was a Bulls fan, and I'm
Mhm.
not gonna dismiss the greatness that I've witnessed in the parades and watching them win championships. And not to go on a tangent on this, but I was so baffled and confused not to bring back that championship
Right,
team, the coaching
right.
staff. So when Phil Jackson left, I'm a huge fan of Phil Jackson, and
Hmm.
he's one of the he's one of the guys, or his philosophy, I should say, has helped me shape my philosophy. He has this thing called the triangle offense.
Yes.
And so
Hmm.
I implemented that in my relationship coaching, where there's
Nice.
a triangle effect that I walk clients through. So when he left Chicago, went to LA, I said I'm going to LA too, and we rocked 5 more championships. So when you got a champion, when you got a leader, you got to ride them
Right,
out through the sunset, man. You don't let them
right,
go.
right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I I was everybody at the time, coming up was either a Lakers or a Celtics fan. So I didn't root for either one of those teams because I don't want to be bandwagon. Then
Okay,
everybody
okay,
jumped on the Bulls. And I'm like, none of y'all have ever been to Chicago. Why are y'all Bulls fans? And and so everybody got on the Bulls. So I
yeah,
actually started to be a Clyde Drexler fan just because everybody was a Jordan fan that I was
yeah,
around. So
yeah.
I loved the Portland Trailblazers as a kid. When he went to Houston, I followed him to Houston, and I
Oh
stayed a
wow,
Rockets fan.
oh
And
wow.
then I
Okay.
moved to Charlotte, and
Oh,
I started going to the games in Charlotte, and I fell in love with the Hornets. You can see my Larry
oh,
Johnson back there, and my,
I'm
my
sorry to
Gerald
hear that.
Wallace with the Bobcats. So I've been through a lot of lean years, but I
You,
stick
you
with my
have,
team.
you have.
So
Those,
I'm all Charlotte when it comes to sports now. So football,
okay, that's
yeah, the
good,
whole
man.
yeah, football, basketball. I'm all Charlotte. So yeah,
That's
I
all
I
right there, man.
I stick with them in the good and the bad. So
It's been mostly bad
that's
though.
true. That is true. But listen, I was checking out your site, and I noticed the couples 8.2.
Couples Corner 8.2. Yes.
Yes. So can you explain what that is about?
That's a segment in my relationship coaching when I'm working with couples,
Hmm.
primarily married couples, but couples who are in serious relationships.
Hmm.
And that got started a couple years ago, when me and my wife went through some things where we were separated 2 months prior to our 8th year anniversary. And so
Okay.
during those 2 months, separated from my home, my beautiful daughter. I'm living in my gym, Russ.
Right.
It was a really rough time. However, I utilized that time to really do some soul searching, as they call it. But I just I found solitude, and I
Nice.
was able to go in and find out who I am, and
Nice.
it led me to challenge some of my beliefs.
Hmm.
It led me to, and one belief is that a man should be respected in his home.
Yes.
right? That's the narrative. Men look for respect, women look for love. Well, I
Right.
wanted to challenge that narrative because
Really?
I
Okay.
often, what was our one of our fallouts, one of our obstacles was that I didn't feel respected in the home.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
once I got a chance to sit with myself, it wasn't that she wasn't showing me respect. It was some of my childhood trauma, my triggers. See, my
Mm,
mom didn't show me respect. And oftentimes, none of us are taught that we should be respected. Now, we are taught
right.
that we should respect old
Yeah.
authorities and teachers,
Right.
but
Mm-hmm.
often we're not taught that we also deserve respect. So I come from a household, a single parent household. My mom, we lived in the projects here in Chicago, and her way of discipline was to talk to us, degrade us, and curse
Mm,
at us and things like that. So that was my childhood trauma. So whenever my wife was triggered, she may be a little agitated, and I took it personal only
right.
because that was my wound. And so her triggered my trigger, and now we're
Right.
clashing. And so
Right.
after I got an opportunity to really realize that, hey man, I got some stuff I'm dealing with, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a lot of reading, I did some therapy, and that's what prompted me to really dive into the coaching realm of relationship coaching, because where the divorce rate is nearly 50%, and
Right.
that's
That's right.
that's crazy. It's and the number one reason is that communication, and the
Yeah.
communication part of it is that we are not we're seeking validation in our partners, where we should be learning from our partners. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does. And man, there's so much that you just put in that little nugget, because I'm like, oh, these are whole episodes that we can talk about,
Oh man, oh
because there's
man, yes, absolutely,
because
man. It's
the whole thing with men and respect, that's something that we've talked about on the show, because I've been in that point where, yes, I want to be respected as the
right,
man of the house, and I
right,
believe that most men are in that position. As if you're in the home, because of the role that you are put in as being the head of the household, you tend to want the respect of that. And a lot of the stereotypes and gender roles that we've played into over the years have not quite updated with the way society is today.
right,
A
right.
lot has changed because of now, most of us are in families where we are two income families instead of one income families.
Mm-hmm.
Things are a lot different from when our parents and generation and their parents, where only one parent need to work and the other
Right,
parent took care of the household. So that's
right.
where that narrative kind of came from. Man, there's so much I want to get into, and I want
Let's
we need to
let's
have
do
you
it,
back
brother.
on the episode and talk about that. Now,
Yeah.
one of the things we did, actually, I did a presentation for a marriage enrichment group
Okay.
down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and we actually did a show on this as well, and it was on the fair fighting rules.
Oh
And
no. Oh, fair fighting. Yes.
the fair fighting rules. So
Mhm.
that's one that I always try to push people toward, because of you know the name calling and pushing the buttons and things like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's different ways to go about within the fair fighting rules to get your point across without making the other person feel small.
Absolutely. But here's my challenge. And going back to the respect and the disrespect, I
Hmm.
challenge that, and I when I'm working with clients, I have to ask them to be open minded, because
Yeah.
and be willing to challenge what you've been taught your whole life.
Hmm.
Because my theory is that there's no such thing as disrespect. Okay,
Hmm.
it's more so, it's not a feeling, it's a judgment. We're judging the behavior of
Right.
someone based on
Yeah.
how it makes us feel, right?
Hmm.
But what's really happening is that your partner is triggered and they're
Mhm.
having emotional reactions.
Right.
Those emotional reactions, we look at it as disrespect. But those
Yes.
emotional reactions is tied to that trauma again, right? That is
Right.
tied to that trauma. However, our belief system allows us to think that we are being disrespected, and so that makes us victims of being disrespected.
Mhm.
However, that's an opportunity. Hear me out, Russ. That's an
Mhm.
opportunity to be a student of those emotional reactions from your partner. I
Yeah.
know it's it's not it's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
Meaning that to become a student, when your partner is having these emotional reactions, you wanna you want to be able to de-escalate the emotion by using more logic and just asking
Right.
questions about what's going on. And once you start to ask more questions, you get more clarity, and you're gonna find out that those emotional reactions has absolutely nothing to do with you. It has
Mm.
everything to do with how that person is dealing with their triggers. And so once we get
Gotcha.
into that, man, it just takes some time. It takes challenging those beliefs because oftentimes we're ready to fight the minute we feel
Right.
a glimpse of disrespect. So now as a man, we're
Mhm.
ready. Hey, you ain't finna talk to me like that. But
Right.
what's happening is your wife has been triggered. So now you need to. It's just like I compare it to a emotional wound and a physical wound. If your wife accidentally hit or cut herself, we're gonna tend to that wound.
Right.
We want to patch up, put a band-aid on. We want to find out what's going on. But that emotional wound, instead of we don't give it the attention, and
Mhm.
now it just goes unattended. And now, unfortunately, we allow it to trigger our wounds. And
Yeah.
there, there we go.
So, man, I want to get into this deeper, but we're gonna. I'm gonna have to bring you back on another time so we can get into this because it just has me thinking. Like when you're talking about the wounds, right? It's
Yeah.
one of those things is that a lot of us put so many layers on top of that, and because we are uh not in touch with our emotions as men, right?
No.
We don't
No.
open up. We close that stuff off because
Right.
as children, you know, if you fell and hurt your knee, your mother picked you up and said, "It's all right. You're okay. Don't cry."
Don't
We're
cry.
we're tell, we're telling us at young boys as at a young age to hold that stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
now when we're adults, we hold that stuff in. We don't let it out. And so now we just put layers on top of it. So she
Yeah.
doesn't know those things. And it may be even the same with her, is that because we don't know how to get down to our emotions, we don't ask the right questions to get down
Right.
to within her layers to find out what's in that wound. So yeah, there's so much more to get
It,
into with that one,
absolutely,
man.
absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I think you just hit it on the point. When as men we can acknowledge that we weren't able to show those emotions and be vulnerable. But once you come into that awareness,
Mhm.
I often teach that the coaching starts with yourself. And when I
Yes.
talked about that triangle offense, there's three questions that I coach people on how to deal with their emotions, and it starts with you. Number one, what is the emotion? Be aware of the emotion. If it's disrespect, if it's sadness, if it's anger, whatever that emotion is, acknowledge the emotion. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that you're not supposed to feel, but just be aware of that emotion. And then go into the second part of it. Why do I feel this way? Why do
Yeah.
I feel attacked? Why do I feel disrespected?
Mhm.
Oftentimes it is connected to that childhood wound. And then the
Yeah.
third thing is how can I articulate my emotions in a way where I'm still connected to my wife? And
Yeah.
that takes vulnerability. See, being able to talk about your feelings and being able to say, babe, I right now I feel a little disrespected right now, or I feel a little jealous right now. But see, we're not wired that way because that
Yeah.
belief system says be hard all the time, right? Don't show any
Yeah.
vulnerability. And
Mhm.
that's the cause, in my opinion, that's the cause and the fall of most relationships and marriages, not being
Mhm.
vulnerable.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
And we are running thin on time right now. But listen, I need you to plug your information. How can people get in touch with you, and how can they get more information about you, your programs, and even your studio there in Chicago?
Um, I can put it in the chat. In regards to my free virtual boot camp.
Hmm.
You'll be able to reach out, and all my email address is on there, so you can always reach out. I do allow people to email me with topics and questions that we can discuss during the free boot camp, and then
Okay.
we kind of go from there.
Listen, I've definitely enjoyed it. And Manspace Nation, stay tuned to us because there's going to be some exciting news that we're going to be announcing pretty soon with Coach Martize. So you got to stay tuned to us, and we're going to have some important details coming out real soon with a possible partnership.
All
Just
right,
just a
let's
little
do it,
tease,
man.
just a little tease. But we can. I definitely want to have you back on, man. And we say this a lot to people, and we do bring people back in, but
Mm,
I definitely mean it because I think we just scratched the surface because there's a lot of nuggets and gems that you're sitting on. And some of the stuff that you're talking about is stuff that we've dealt with on our show. And
mhm.
I like the approach of being able to challenge stuff because uh
Yes,
you know, I having somebody to challenge a little bit will help you kind of like, I didn't quite think of it that way,
right, right, right.
and that's what you really need. And that's what I think that every man needs is somebody to help them see the other side of it.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. You hit it on the head. I'm all about challenging, whether it's physical muscles or being in relationship, dealing with those emotional muscles. But you're right. Oftentimes we don't see it the other way. We we naturally see it in a way where we're the victim.
Hmm.
And that's the problem I have with our belief system. It's designed to disconnect us. And what I mean by disconnect us, meaning that we give away our power, our emotional power away. And so what that leaves us now without power. And when you're without power, you're in the dark. And when you're in the
Hmm.
dark, that's when a lot of negative things started to happen in your life.
Right.
Relationships fall apart. And it goes even deeper with your physical health when you
Right.
are often disconnected.
Yes.
So, but yeah, we're getting to that, man. I don't
Yeah.
want to get too much.
Yes,
You got me
I was
fired
gonna
up,
say,
bro.
hey, man, I was about to say you want to drop one last word of wisdom, but you just did it. So I'm like, that is awesome, fantastic, man. Definitely, we're gonna be in touch soon, man. Space Nation, stay tuned because we're gonna give you some more details coming out very soon about Coach Martize. Once again, I appreciate having you on the show, and thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Russ.
As we do each week, we like to close the show with just a little bit of inspiration.
Most people only pay attention to the final product of a successful entrepreneur. They say things like, I can never be like them, or they got lucky. What most don't see is what they've overcome. All the struggles, the daily rejections, the heartaches, the betrayals, the rumors, the criticism, the empty bank account, and all those lonely nights while trying to make their vision a reality. You see, the only difference between the one who quits and the one who doesn't is that they showed up every day. They worked hard every day. They hustled every day. They learned from a proven mentor every day. They improved every day. They did all this even though they felt like quitting every day. and eventually they became who they are today.
Yeah.
That's what it is, brother.
Hard work pays off, man. And that's the thing, man. You can't give up in the middle. It's just you got to keep striving.
Yeah. The part that got me was that when people look at entrepreneurs and they see their success, you don't see everything.
You don't see the struggle.
You don't see the
that
struggle
people went through. Yeah,
that's right. And that's why when they got it and they get it and they doing what they do with it, you don't know what these people went through to get to where they are.
You don't know what Zuckerberg did to get to the end point with Facebook. You don't know
Bill Gates. You know what I'm saying?
Right? You don't know the
any
whole
of these
struggle
guys.
of
Right. I've seen and heard of stories of people putting second and third mortgages on homes. You know, to get to where they need to be. And you know what? I applaud you for the discipline, you know, for the structure, for the tenacity to continue moving. So if any entrepreneurs are out there listening, don't stop. Your dream is worth it. Your dream is worth it. So continue on.
Absolutely. Manspace Nation, July 5th is coming up.
Ooh.
Which is season 5 of the Manspace podcast.
Wow.
The premiere of season 5. And is it July 5th or July 3rd? It's July 3rd. It's before 4th of July.
Yes,
July 3rd. I was wrong. So July 3rd is the premiere of season 5 of the Manspace podcast. Stay tuned with us because we're going to have some updates from Coach Martize coming up real soon.
Yeah.
Also, if you are listening to us on the podcast version of the show, you know what? We're putting this one on tv.themanspacepodcast.com. Now, for those who are watching us on Onstage Plus, stay tuned because the after show is next. And for everybody else, hey, go over to Onstage Plus and subscribe to us over there and catch the after show featuring me and Les.
That's it, baby. Catch us. Because it's hot. We're throwing a hot ball down there.
And on that note,
we out of here.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Manspace.
Whichever platform you listen to us on, make sure you subscribe and don't miss a show.
Remember to keep up with all the Manspace updates on our website, themanspacepodcast.com.
And you can follow us on Instagram at ManspaceNat1.
Until next time, Manspace Nation, he's Les, I am Russ, and we are out
of here.